Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking a seriously fascinating piece of history that, honestly, is just as relevant right now as it was over a century ago. We're unpacking William Walker Atkinson's 1908 classic, The Secret of Success. Now, I want you to go ahead and forget all those modern, superficial life hacks you're always hearing about. Atkinson gives us the original, heavy-hitting blueprint for true success. And the whole thing is built on one massive premise: real power. It starts from the inside out. So get ready, because we're going to reconstruct exactly how you can access that power. But first, think about this for a second. Are you a bellwether, or are you just following the flock? Atkinson uses this brilliant sheep analogy right out of the gate. He argues that most of us are, well, kind of like human sheep. We complacently trot along after a self-assertive bellwether, the leader of the flock. We blindly follow them because we assume these leaders possess some magical hidden sum of human knowledge. But the actual truth? No way. They just figured out how to tap into their own dormant power. So the real question for you today is this: do you want to keep trotting along with the herd, or are you ready to step out and lead using your own latent strength? Okay, so here's how we'll map out this 5-step journey today. First, we'll look at the illusion of the flock. Second, awaken your latent power. Third, the engine of enthusiasm. Fourth, the law of attraction. And finally, your attractive personality. Let's dive right in. Step 1, the illusion of the flock. It's time to break that comfortable herd mentality. To actually break away from the flock, you really have to grasp the concept of individuality. Atkinson defines individuality as the expression of our true self. It's that core I that is completely different from literally everyone else in the universe, and it is packed with this massive dormant and latent power. You see, the big secret here, the real takeaway, is that you absolutely cannot just follow universal, cut-and-dried rules to be successful. It just doesn't work that way. You have to work out your success along the entirely unique lines of your own individuality. Moving on to step 2, awaken your latent power. Let's figure out how to find that internal I. Now, what's really interesting here is how Atkinson boldly splits our existence into 2 totally distinct categories. You've got the immortal I, and then you have the me. Most of us walk around thinking our physical body, our energy, or even our constantly shifting mental states and emotions are who we are. But Atkinson, he says no. Those things, they're just the me. They are simply the instruments. The I is the real self. It's the master behind the curtain that's actively using your mind and body to interact with the world. And realizing that you are the master of these tools, well, that is exactly where true power begins. To help you vividly realize the sheer magnitude of your true I, Atkinson shares this striking poem by Orr. It goes, "Lord of 1,000 worlds am I, for I am the soul of man." And look, that isn't just some poetic fluff, it's a powerful mental posture. When you firmly separate your eternal observing I from the temporary feelings and physical limits of your body, you tap into this unbreakable, rock-solid confidence. And that realization gives birth to a very specific quality Atkinson calls spiritedness. Now notice, this isn't something ethereal or goody-goody, not at all. It's a highly animated state filled with power. It's metal. It's nerve. Think about 2 lions in a cage. They don't always physically fight to see who's the king, right? Often they just lock eyes, and the one with the superior inner metal, that spiritedness, simply wins the silent mental struggle. And humans, we do the exact same thing in literally every interaction. The person with the most spiritedness is always the one who leads. Which brings us to step 3, the engine of enthusiasm. Let's talk about fueling that latent power. Atkinson introduces a seriously fascinating concept here called the mental second wind. Now, if you've ever gone for a long run, you know exactly what a physical second wind is. You feel completely exhausted, totally ready to quit, and then suddenly, bam, a fresh wave of energy hits you out of nowhere. Well, Atkinson argues that we have a mental second wind too. Every single one of us possesses massive reserves of latent mental energy just waiting to be unlocked. And the key to unlocking those reserves, an earnest, burning motive. You literally have to want something hard enough to trigger the release of all that stored power. So how do we actually do that? Here is the exact step-by-step method to actively create that kind of desire, turning all this abstract philosophy into a practical toolkit. Step 1, form a crystal clear mental image of exactly what you want. Step 2, focus your attention entirely on it. Really stretch your mind toward that goal. And step 3, make an earnest demand. Don't just kind of wish for it, actually demand it from yourself and from your circumstances. This intensely focused desire is the fire that creates the steam of your enthusiasm. I absolutely love the industrial metaphor Atkinson uses to describe this. He calls it the mental trolley pull. Imagine a trolley car on the tracks. On its own, it's really just a heavy, useless box. But the second it raises its pole to touch the continuous live electrical wire overhead, it suddenly has the power to move forward. It's a game changer. Your mind is that trolley. Willpower is the live wire. By using your desire and attention, you are actively raising your mental trolley pole to tap into a universal, dynamic current of energy that can literally drive you through any obstacle. All right, step 4, the law of attraction. This is how we start attracting your goals. Atkinson explains that when your desire gets intense enough, it generates what he calls desire force. This force acts exactly like a cyclone or a giant magnet, just radiating outward from you. It literally draws in the exact persons, circumstances, environments, and opportunities that you need to achieve your goals. And it's not magic, guys, it's a natural law. Just like atoms are drawn together by chemical affinity, your deeply concentrated mental energy draws the matching external pieces of your puzzle right to your front door. But here is the crucial catch. You absolutely have to avoid the dark side of this law. There's a concept coined by Horace Fletcher called fear thought. Basically, fear thought is the I can't principle. It's that haunting mental picture of something you're absolutely terrified will happen. And here's why it is so dangerous. Fearing a thing activates the law of attraction just as strongly as desiring it does. If you constantly picture failure, you literally become a magnet for failure. You have to violently expel fear thought from your mind and completely replace it with images of success. To truly conquer that fear, you have to adopt a totally unconquerable spirit. Atkinson tells this harrowing story of a shipwrecked German sailor off the coast of Newfoundland. Trapped up in the freezing rigging after a brutal storm, the guy just absolutely refused to give up. He fought the crushing waves over and over, trying to reach the cliff. And when he finally realized he couldn't make it, he swam back to the sinking ship, tied himself to the mast, and signaled his defiance to the people on the shore until he literally froze to death. He fought to the very last. Atkinson shares this to prove a really profound point. Giving your absolute best and never yielding to fear or despair is the ultimate success, regardless of the final outcome. Let's move to our final stage, step 5, your attractive personality. It's time to perfect your mask. We really need to redefine what personality actually is. The word itself comes from the Latin persona, which literally translates to an actor's mask. Let that sink in. Your personality is not the real you. Remember, the real you is that internal I. Your personality is simply the assumed character or the outward appearance that you wear for the world. And because it's just a mask, well, that means it can be intentionally crafted, changed, and perfected to draw people in and supercharge your success. So what actually makes an attractive mask? Atkinson lays out some incredibly practical traits here. First up, cheerfulness. A genuine, sunny smile acts as a literal magnet for other people. Next is self-respect, which physically manifests by simply keeping an erect head and a straight spine. Then, being a good listener. And finally, maintaining absolute self-control over your temper and even the pitch of your voice. And what's super fascinating about this is the feedback loop. By altering your outward physical carriage, like, standing tall and intentionally lowering your voice, you actually signal your brain to develop the corresponding inner mental strength. It's brilliant. I really want to highlight that trait of listening because it's summed up perfectly with this rule. Listen as you would be listened unto. Taking a genuine, real interest in other people is the ultimate charm. Atkinson shares this amazing, kind of hilarious anecdote about the famously grumpy philosopher Thomas Carlyle. So a visitor came to see Carlyle and basically just let the old man talk for hours, listening intently with total genuine interest. When the visitor finally left, Carlyle praised him as one of the most brilliant conversationalists he had ever met. The visitor had hardly said a single word, but he gave Carlyle exactly what we all want, the feeling of being truly heard. And that brings us to the end of our explainer, and to one final, truly provocative question. Atkinson's framework proves that real success is built from the inside out. You have the dormant I, you can tap into the live wire of willpower, you can harness the law of attraction, and you can absolutely craft a magnetic personality. You can be whatever you want to be. But the entire system runs on one specific fuel. So I leave you with this. Do you want it hard enough? I challenge you today to tap into that raw desire force, raise up your mental trolley pole, and start pulling your true success toward you.